Angela?
Okay, welcome to
It's on there.
BusinessWorks, ladies and gentlemen. It's our very first episode of the show. So we initially had different plans on starting the show, launching the show at LSBU. But since there's a crisis right now, we thought of continuing the shows, at least we are, because everyone's at home. I thought maybe we can just give you some information about the current situation, about the technology, and bring some guests and talk to you about current affairs. And so, today, on our very first show, we thought of talking about COVID-19, of course, the coronavirus situation, and how AI is kind of helping the situation. And we can ask questions whether it actually helps the situation or the companies to kind of generate more income, or you know that there's a lot of issues happening right now. The consumers are affected, the jobs are affected, and companies are really struggling. So we brought in two special guests. Okay, and these are the ones that will be speaking about AI. You'll see why. So let me introduce the first guest. Uh, you know what? Watch this video first.
Hello, my name is Neil Whitehead. I've been involved in the creative industry all my life. I started by doing architecture at Kingston University, which was a good starting point for me. I came out, worked in a number of companies before I then joined a well-known company called Fitch & Co, who really understood how to mesh together creativity, production of products and services and branding for companies to, in fact, reach millions of people in the market. And from there, I learnt a number of techniques that were used for creative thinking and making people think outside of the box.
Okay, so that's Neil. All right. So Neil
Yeah, you say
Whitehead,
that.
he has worked with a lot of companies, building strategies and helping businesses, helping startups. He's really good at creative thinking and thinking about the future when he helps businesses with creating strategies. But then there's another guest who's an AI expert, I would say. Who else to bring in? We are talking about AI, and this is the best guy to talk about it. And he's actively helping companies right now, especially financial firms, so we can get an idea of what's the situation is in terms of AI. Watch this video first.
Hi, it's Raj Muppala, founder and CEO of AInfinity. Ours is an enterprise AI platform to deliver solutions for complex problems in many verticals. I've been in the space of innovation for many years, and I've seen myself companies are struggling a lot to bring innovation, and especially in this current data world. And this is where everyone is in the race of AI, and obviously because of lack of intelligent AI platforms, it makes even much difficult and takes longer time and huge cost for them to deliver solutions like complex problems like AI risk and predictions and customer engagement. This is where I've started AInfinity, really about to give that edge and giving this intelligent AI platform to help them to solve complex problems like risk and customer insights and prediction models, so that they can be efficient, they can be innovators and leaders. And yeah, we've been working with many financial institutions to help solve risk models and predictive models for customer churn, and some of these examples.
Okay, we are just having difficulties, I think, technically. We are some, my broadcast manager is saying that there are some connection issues, but hopefully we'll resolve it while the show airs. But yeah, so Neil and Raj. So welcome, Neil and Raj. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Oh, that's Neil right there. So Raj, are we connected to Raj? Is Raj
Hi,
on? Oh,
hi,
there you go.
Angela.
So that's Raj
Good.
Muppala and Neil Whitehead. So guys, so first of all, I want to just ask you guys just to get your opinion on how AI is um, kind of useful in this pandemic. Like, is it actually useful, or is it helping, or just give us some information about the current situation. Neil, I would. What do you think?
Yep. Okay, so it's been absolutely incredibly useful because I'm sure you realise that today they are doing human tests on vaccines for the coronavirus or C-19. And that would not have been able to happen without using AI technology, which in effect has been able to do testing 24 hours a day, learning as it goes along, developing and discounting recipes, if you want to call it that, or medicines that don't work. So it has been an incredible impact on what has happened. Because be clear about this, coronavirus only really hit our planet in China in December of last year, November, December of last year. And here we are in April the 23rd, and already we're doing human tests. So, it has made a terrific impact on the speed at which we've been able to assimilate the information. Raj, what would your points be?
Yes, Raj.
Hi. Yeah, definitely. I think for sure we're all going through this crisis, and of course we are directly or indirectly affected, and we're all confined to our remote working, obviously being productive, and obviously in this course for sure, AI and any technology has got a very vital role, especially to look at the prediction models, perhaps what Neil is talking about. Some of the things obviously on the vaccines and obviously better predicting models, but of course that depends on the good data. So the challenges we have is about the data eats bias. And of course, this is where I think if you see everywhere, everyone is doing trials, everyone is doing predictions, and is based on some assumptions and biases. What I think the way I see is that once we have consensus of the good data set, which is kind of from multiple views, then I think that's a good way to start for determining the predictions or perhaps outages, and also in a good vaccine model, or perhaps whatever it is, rather than rushing things and coming up with what you call solutions, and then afterwards assuming that oh, it's wrong. That's what I feel. And also, of course, beyond that, there are many human to human kind of conversations where technology can help really about the customer service and also the customer engagement and understanding the sentiments, because there are not many people supporting the businesses right now. And most of us, I believe, had this actually trying to reach out to a bank or maybe your organization, understanding, you're telling their impact, right? And they're not people to address, and the emails are not being responsive, right? I think this is where the technology, at least AI, can really help to address that element, to automate some of the elements, for sure, and at least to help businesses to understand what's going on in the customer's risk and sentiment, so that they can do a better service. And customer, obviously that is where they're meant for, right? I think these are a few areas that definitely the technology will help.
And by the way, like when you talk about AI and the solutions that AI is offering and the current situation, uh, do you think, Raj, like you are working with a lot of financial institutes and a lot of companies helping with the AI solutions? Are you currently working on some cases where you believe that, or you're working on something directly with this COVID situation, I would say. So to maybe to help companies with this situation, or because previously, when I always have a conversation with these two, uh, it's always you learn something new. So when I spoke with Raj last time, he was giving me so much of information about the ideas that he has, and uh, and how he is actually helping companies. So can you tell us a bit about how you are currently helping companies, Raj, in terms of the
Sure.
COVID situation? We'll link the situations together too.
Sure, 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 Angelo, definitely. So we reacted to obviously the COVID-19 situation, and some of the products that we have been working on, we actually cater to the specific needs of this market, especially these in the subject of this customer risks and sentiment analysis, right? And this is really affecting not only the financial services. I think every service company, right? You talk about retail and e-commerce, and financial institutions, even governments as well. And wherever there is no channel to address these risks, and also understanding the real view of what the customers are talking about. And is it talking about health? Apart from that, are they talking about their financial problems? Are they talking about product being many things? But I think there's a lot of data being generated in the systems right now, and also there is not that many people to analyze it. Obviously, the people not going to work because of the shortage of staff, right? For that, we've created this product, Alive Core, right? Exactly to help companies, to small or big, to address this problem, to understand what's actually in the conversations. Are they talking about constantly about health, or maybe the mental issues, or maybe a lot of people do have different concerns, right? It's sometimes sensitive. The organizations have the need to understand what they are, so that they can understand them better, and also they can understand the sentiments also better, right? It's small or big. And even governments also have the same responsibility to address to citizens to understand, rather than we all know it's impacted, but do we know how much impact it and various walks of life? I think this is where the one we are working right now is actually, we believe it's helping. At the same time, we've been actually using this across a few conversations, and also being used in some of our customers as well, to understand the impact, and to make it more real time, from information analysis from social media, as well as from news channels, and also from internal data with the customer service and customer email responses. I think these are the things we are helping implement.
Right. That's really interesting to see that you guys are like positively like right in the middle of the game, like of helping these companies. As a company, like for us as well, this has been a really challenging time because, as you know, like to schedule a live event and live show with less staff and then less facilities, less technology, and it's been really tough. So we've been trying to find out better solutions, better ways of doing these live streams or live shows, and even adverts, and because the behaviors are changing, and it's been really different, I guess. I wouldn't say tough in a way, but it's times are changing because of this. And even before the coronavirus issue incident, I mean, AI was changing the job market and the job industry, the technology, in terms of technology, how people work and the workflows in terms of even for us, I remember we brought in some new ways of editing videos and editing shows and launching shows and stuff like that. And Neil, what do you think when it comes
Yeah.
to the creative element of AI?
Well,
Will it
the thing
actually
I
replace certain jobs, and the COVID situation is going on? Will it like kind of replace certain? I mean, people are losing
I
jobs right
personally,
now.
as an incredibly positive person, think that all these changes take place. But what I always look for is context, and we have to look at the context of where we are at the moment. What's actually happened is, through the cloud industries over the last 13, 14 years, we have lots of data. The trouble with the data is that it's aligning itself in silos and it's not connecting. So there's people like Raj now who are getting, Twitter feeds through to database in the company, to bought database, to my Siri thing thinks it's an interesting question. So that's the issue. So, but for me, to give an example of that, because we're talking about the coronavirus at the moment, what frustrates the living daylights out of me is watching the news, where you've got so many feeds of information coming through. So you've got deaths in hospitals, you've got deaths of people in care homes, you've got so many different feeds coming across in terms of what's happening, where it's going, where's the thing. The other thing is there's natural death, so therefore if you're losing 1,500 people a day naturally, and then you're losing some through coronavirus, what's the impact of that? And I found a lot of the statistics that were shown very early on, and I don't know whether Raj will agree with me, to be rather frustrating because they were very silo-driven. AI can put all of that together, can make things make sense, give balanced views in the way that we want to see information going forward. And if we can do that in the news, then by sure we can do it for our businesses. So I know Raj, working with the financial institutions he's working with, wants to get a balanced view of the market, the stocks and shares that they're in, the Twitter feeds that are coming through, along with the more traditional Bloomberg and so on and so forth. It's how you mesh all of these things together that I think makes the world fascinating. So that would be my input in terms of what I see happening at this moment in time and the impact AI is going to have on that.
Right. That's really interesting. It's going to be an interesting time, like I'm looking forward to the changes and when we finally come out of this situation. And technologies will be different and even human behavior, isn't it? And the job roles.
Yeah.
And Raj, what do you think about the changes that you must be seeing this firsthand, that there are loads of changes happening. So when we finally come out of this, do you think that there will be massive changes in terms of workflows of companies or behaviors or marketing strategies and basically strategies? Will they change? What do you think about that? Just give us a glimpse of what you think.
Sure. I think, as you can see my background, I'll just switch back to reality, right? So this is where I think I like to be, ideally in this time, but this is not where I am right now. So as you can see,
right.
So obviously everyone is confined to homes, and I think definitely it's the way I see is that not beyond technology. I think there is many factors to be influenced in here, and yes, I think the business models will definitely do change. And the ways of working for sure, I think, it's like 80-90% of people are working remotely. And obviously, companies have to find the balance. How do you get this, working in a longer term basis? And also, obviously, in terms of, there are definitely technology providers which have an edge right now, especially the companies who provide the remote facilities, right? So I think definitely when you come out of this, I think it's a slow progression, I believe. And also, the momentum might be lost, I think, whatever we have been doing towards us earlier this year, right? And definitely, I think in different facets of life. And one thing to just call out is that people have to understand the power of the environment here, and at least the nature, right? Because, however we think so far, we've been so powerful species in the planet, right? And now we can really see we're all confined to what we can do. So these are the things we need to look at: the sustainable way of working and also way of living. And to kind of more collaborative. That is what I see as an opportunity to think and also to act that way, and for the benefit of everyone, not just a few.
All right. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go to a quick advert break, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, before the break, there's a quick message from the UK Asian Film Festival, friends of ours. They have this new promo codes that has been launched. You can see all these films when if you're a fan of Asian films. So during our advert breaks, we are going to show some of those deals. So stay tuned. We'll be back shortly.
Can we talk now?
This is my dad. He was once a bubbly, happy, and positive person. He had been a cancer patient for many years. When I was younger, I remember our long winter walks, the fun times in the park, and all those hilarious jokes. After recovery, he was constantly tired, demotivated, and closed off.
The product now we are talking is Alive Core.
I didn't see the amazing smile anymore. That's when I developed my first well-being range using what my mom used on me as a kid, coconut oil. I incorporated coconut oil with my extensive research in aromatherapy oils to help improve his mood. So I gave him a moisturizer, diffuser, and candle, which we named Caribbean Mood. I saw a difference in him, and I saw the amazing smell he used to have. I knew I had to share this with the world. Okay, giving the organic lifestyle you deserve.
Okay, welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking about COVID-19, AI, and future of businesses. So now we are planning on talking about the impact that AI has on businesses. We are going to first talk about the COVID-19 situation and how it has impacted and changed businesses. And now, Neil, I'm gonna ask you this specific question because you are a person who always works with businesses, create strategies, and look into the future when creating strategies, right? And Neil has also mentored us and is an active mentor for me as well. So I can vouch for that. So Neil, uh, what do you think this COVID situation and like how has it like impacted the businesses?
What I think COVID has done, and in a way, it has kicked us into the new generation. I think it's kicked us into a new economic forum at the moment. Everybody is getting used to technology, everybody's Zooming. What we're all realizing, and some businesses spend a lot of money on bricks and mortar for their staff to be there. And clearly that's not the case anymore. So I can see the sort of the WeWorks and all of that becoming much more dominant in the way we work, more flexible space. I think eventually and finally banks and big corporations will not worry about people working from home and communicating. I speak to my, during this crisis with furloughing and all the rest of it, I speak to the bank quite a lot. And the person I speak to is working from home and it's perfectly efficient, it's perfectly organized. I get a handwritten envelope with her signature on the outside of it, which is the only thing that sort of indicates that it's sort of outside of the office. But other than that, everything is moving forward. So I think flexible working is going to become part of it. I think technology is going to become very central. But let's just take my industry very, very quickly, which is the creative industry and the architectural industry. Right. BIM is a really big process that needs to take place in terms of making a building. In the past, it was all in silos, or like passing a baton. So you would do the design drawings, and it'd go to the guy who did the design detailing, that went to a construction guy, and that went to this, and the construction guy, and there were lots of different people in it. Now everything comes onto a technology platform. Every move you make is priced. Everything goes up into virtual reality, and you can see it. The client has got a dashboard that looks at it and can make his own decisions without having to rely on an architect or a project manager. So I see the technology making transparency, the ability to work more efficiently, and also wonderfully, like in fact you can see with Raj, you can work from the Bahamas. Where's the problem?
Indeed. So your voice is just okay. Can you hear me, Neil? Is it?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. Yes.
Right. So we just had a small problem. Yeah, got it. Okay. So yeah, I mean, even for us as a business, this situation has changed our workflow as well. So let's go back to Raj, and because now we spoke about some of the changes. Raj, how do you think that I mean, let's talk about AI. How do you think that AI will help these changes? Will it just patch out the whole situation, or will AI develop into a different level because of these changes? Because now people have to work from home, if possible, right? So people have to stay home, and certain things that like sometimes now industries, as Neil said, industries are recognizing that sometimes it's actually possible to get your employees to work from home, and they don't have to travel anymore. And let's say meetings, virtual meetings, and online meetings, video conferences. Now these are all, some companies didn't have virtual or online video meetings before this. They always had to have used to have physical meetings. Now they are adapting new technologies, and all, I mean, some technologies were already established, but some organizations, being really old organizations, they wouldn't like changes. And I'm sure Neil would agree that most of the companies, they hate changes. And how do you think that this will, the AI element will play a part of these changes? Will it kind of help that, or will it just, like breed a different kind of behavior for businesses? So, what do you think, Raj? Is Raj still online? Okay, I think we've lost the connection to our guests. Uh, shall we try to reconnect?
Yeah, we're back in. Back in. Can you hear? Yeah, I'm back in. You know I'm here, don't you? Yeah. He might not know there's a link there, yeah? Because the link only lasts 20 minutes, you know that, don't you? Yeah. He's back from the Bahamas.
So, hey guys, so I just took a break. So, as you can see, the nice weather outside. Why not, right? So,
just had a pina colada.
exactly. So,
Okay. Sorry about it's always technical issues these days. So there was a signal drop, and we got back our guests. So Raj, you're there, right?
yes, yeah, I'm here.
Okay, finally. So Neil and Raj both they have connected back.
Yeah.
So Neil, I was
we're
telling
here.
the viewers that now Neil was talking about like there are massive changes in workflows and like strategies and how businesses strategizing for the future, and AI will play a important role as you mentioned. So how do you think that AI will kind of like take in these changes and develop different technologies from those and or different needs, and then how will it kind of help these new strategies or new workflows? Do you think that there will be
Yeah.
different type of technologies trying to solve different problems now, because
Yeah.
we have different problems?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think without question, technology will improve. I think machine learning, machine paralleling will be better. I think the interconnectivity of information in the workplace and everything else will become better. The silos will merge and so on and so forth. The big issue for me, though, is the issue of sociability. So whilst the world is racing ahead with technologies and robots building and things happening in space and all the rest of it, what happens to the rest of the world? What happens to the people that just, enjoy their lives, they're elderly? What happens? And so, what I would say is, I think there's two things that are emerging from the impact of AI. I think social enterprise has a major role to play in the world. And if you cast yourself back to the Victorian era, where you had the Peabody estates with the big industrialists there who made a lot of money and then invested in the welfare of those that were less well off or who worked for them. I think the same thing is going to happen again. There's going to be a huge amount of money generated by the AI companies who have, in effect, less workers there. But on the other side, that then stimulates lots of other types of activities and interests and art and so on and so forth. So I think what's quite interesting about AI, I think there's going to be some fantastic movement on it. I embrace it because it saves time. It helps you understand things. It gives you more time with the people that you like and you care about. It gives you the ability to work remotely and work in a flexible way. It is stimulating, but also it gives time through the wealth that's made through that to help lots of other businesses, help people that have got other interests and other things that they want to do, and helping our society and the interrelationship of our society. So I think that is perhaps the way that you should look at AI, rather than it being something that is taking away jobs.
Right. So we are going to talk about the social impact in our next segment after the break. So we are going to go to a deep discussion about the social impact, because people are worried. Some people are worried actually when they talk about AI. But when it comes to businesses, like they always say that most of the businesses, we think about profit as well at the same time. Profit and ethics. How can we just increase our profit margins while being ethical, right? So now, because of these changes are coming, and not coming, like there are already big changes. Like, let's say now, if you can work from home without traveling to work, and certain elements of your job role have changed, and those changes, and some companies are actually developing AI strategies to fill those elements that the workers can't do right now. So as Raj said, so Raj, what do you think when we come out of this? Do you think that this will like create a change or create a massive difference, or what I really want to ask you is, how can this like draw up the future for businesses?
Sure. Definitely, I think Neil's point is very, very valid. Obviously, looking at the social enterprise level, actually, to look at what is the technology be of benefit, right? Everyone has different views about the technology. Obviously, when you talk about innovative technology like AI or blockchain, an example,
Right.
and the way I see is that I'm not an expert on that area, but at least I can tell everyone has a right to say what their opinions are.
Right.
If you talk to a scientist in AI, they have a different opinion. They love technology. If you talk about business, they have a different thing. If you talk to elderly, they have a different view. So every technology has got its benefits and also drawbacks. It's us as humans, what is that we can actually leverage from it? Could we take it for our advantage? Like, some of the things which Neil talked about. Okay, it will save time, and also, things like, bring our efficiency. These are the things can be useful, not just AI. You can use any other technology too. But AI has got an advantage because it has that, if you put it right, in the sense like it cannot be biased. Basically, it can actually look at massive amount of data sets and understand different ways of looking at things. And obviously, like some of the things about this vaccinations, obviously data analysis, right? Who as humans, we are limited with our capacity in a day, what we can do, and also our thinking, right? And if you put 10 physicians or maybe 10 advisors, everyone will talk about different things, different opinions. Who do you trust?
Right.
Do you trust with one physician actually is from this Harvard or MIT and then believe with it? Or you wanted to have a collective intelligence, which is actually the technology can able to help to actually be kind of more or less not biased. But of course, it depends on your assumptions and everything, right? Just one of the scenario, right? And also many things also we need to think about, obviously, just if you leave COVID outside as well, but technology has also been useful to in the healthcare, especially to help elderly people to understand their things like medication, and also this things about monitoring that. There could be many things where we can use technology, but the point is that we have to be very cautious about how we are applying it. And if it augments humans' intelligence, that is what we are passionate about, our company is about, and to help humans with the technology, right? And obviously, there could be also other angles where people think that okay, this is end, and this is always subject to discussion about what view you want to take, and you have to take it in a view that obviously to get the best. And as humans, we understand. I believe that we would not let that technology to take over us, and at least we are smart enough. I believe collectively we can able to make it cooperative. That is my view on it.
So Raj, will these changes stay when we come out of this situation? Do you think that it will stay? Like, let's say that some companies are using your AI solutions as well, more than before. So will they keep using it, or will they go back to their traditional methods? What do you think about that? Oh, by the way, before you answer the question, Raj, our viewers, can also ask questions, share your thoughts, comment below, comment in our live link. We'll get all the questions and we can ask those questions from our guests. So be a part of the show. And so, Raj, let's go back to you. So, your view.
Sure, definitely. The intensity of I would say the intensity might change. Obviously, now we are now going back to normal, right? It's been over maybe a month or two in different countries, wherever you look at it, and now we're just getting back to working, at home more or less, and being productive. And of course, once this crisis get over, maybe whenever time it is, right? So I think there could be different ways of there's an opportunity for organizations and businesses to look at what we have done over the last 3 months or 6 months. Obviously, you mentioned also very important things about it doesn't need to be in an office for people to work, right? And places like WeWork, and obviously they're fancy, they're very good. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's a cost for businesses. And if you look at startup companies like perhaps us and also many startups in the world, right? So it can be done virtually. Like this is a real example that even bigger companies can do that, and it's a need, right? So this is a way of thinking as well for people to see that as long as they're productive, they don't need to be monitored. right? And so they are adults enough, and obviously they can able to do that. And coming back to your question about how different areas of AI can help,
Right.
that depends on where at this moment the way I see is that the customer engagement and understanding the customer issues or the citizens issues is priority, right? So
Right.
this will be the topic for most of our conversations until we get to the sustainable mode after COVID, right? So that's a responsibility for governments and also businesses to do this as a priority. And this is where AI can be able to help at least mitigate a lot of issues about staffing and people mobility issues and things like that. So like a personal assistant, right? Can be some of the things can be done that way. And of course, when there are many other things about predictions and obviously vaccination trials and everything is also happening, that's also in the current scenario, right? Beyond that, definitely these models could be sustainable, and customer service is not stopping after COVID-19. Right? An example: people still need to have a better customer service and better understand. Businesses need to understand better. So this will definitely evolve, and the business models also need to change. How they wanted to use it and apply.
Right. And actually, you were talking about the customer service, and there's Sunny A who has given us a comment. I think broadly, AI can be categorized into one, machine learning; two, robotics; three, natural language processing, uh, and examples, automated responses from customer services. Actually, we were talking about this, Raj. Was it yesterday? Yeah. And this is like really interesting that you were saying that some of the customer service agents are like at home, um, self-isolating, and then you are developing a AI platform actually do the uh, to actually do the responsing. So is it actually working well? Because in my experience, when you get to these bots, some of the answers you get are very orchestrated, I would say. You get certain answers for certain questions and you get it. But what do you think about that? Moving, like maybe you can maybe
Can I
show
make
us. Yeah.
a comment on that, if I may? Um, I think it's quite interesting because I obviously have a traditional bank, so it's to answer the question that you've just been given.
Right.
And what I find quite frustrating about the old system is it's very security driven. It's very much about protecting the bank itself. So it's all about codes and and various passwords and so on and so forth. The new fintech bank, so for example, Revolut or something like that, what I really like about it, it's 24/7. Yes, you do get robotic answers to start off with because sometimes you just want a very simple answer to a question and it's able to give you that information and put it in the right way by guessing what you want with the bot. But in the case that you're having difficulty with it, you then go through to someone who is able to, a human being, if you want to call it, who's then able to solve a lot of those problems. And if it gets more complex, they will go to the various departments to solve those problems. And I get that 24 hours a day. So I can be working absolutely so hard. And I know Raj is also a Revolut, uses it. And that really opens it up. So the question is, I think there's lots of things that are coming through, chat, being able to talk to people 24/7, bots that can help you on some simple stuff. And of course, remember, they will get better and smarter. They will learn and they will do things in a better way. All of that makes your life absolutely integrated and easy to do. And that will happen with many things. The thing to remember, it takes 10 years for generations to change. So when the fax came in, it took 10 years before it was accepted. When the iPhone came in, 10 years before it's accepted. So what we're talking about now in 10 years will be commonplace because the generations of today will embrace them and move on. But it takes longer. And what COVID-19 has done is accelerated, I think, the generational uptake of these new technologies, probably by 5 years. That's what I think. Yeah.
Right. Okay, and by the way, we have to take a quick break, and we'll be back talking about social impact of AI. So there you go. We'll be back shortly.
So this is a real-time edge detection with AI, computer vision. So it's actually recognizing the people in a real time, as you could see, multiple people walking in here. So you can able to see the recognition of different people and different personas happening as moving in is real time. So the power of this application, what we developed, is at a very low cost and very high-powered application, where you can actually apply that into different scenarios like smart city and security and surveillance, and perhaps in different verticals to identify the facial recognition example, or maybe a fraud, different scenarios. And the power of this application here is that it's very low cost and high power and without internet connectivity. AI at the edge.
Okay, we are back, and like I mentioned, we are talking about the COVID-19 situation, AI, and the future of businesses. And now we are talking about the social impact of AI, because AI technologies are emerging. Because of the COVID-19 situation. People are working from home, and companies are suffering. Companies are changing their workflow, so they are looking into AI industry to build them new technologies to help them with the situation. So we have Raj Muppala and Neil Whitehead as guests on today's show. So now we are talking about the social impact of AI, because the AI technologies are increasing. Will it affect the social behaviors, and will it change our lives in the future? Neil, what do you think about the social impact of AI?
This is the thing that I think is quite critical, really, and I think what you have to look at is the roots of what drives human nature, and that is basically we are pack animals. Look at what we're missing in this particular lockdown at the moment. What we're missing is physical contact. I mean, I can see, my family and my friends and, my rugby boys, I can see them all on screen, but it's not the same. We're absolutely craving to be together, to do things and so on and so forth. So I think the social aspect of this is really important, because the danger of it is that the snowflake generation and the younger generation coming through will become isolated. They will live in the virtual world, which frankly, my kids do that. They're completely in the virtual world, and the danger is that the conflict of reality will become quite a difficult thing to understand. So sociability, getting people together, doing things that are outside of technology, looking at a screen, studying, researching and so on and so forth is critical, and I think that will go on. I can't see that not going on, but there needs to be a conscious effort by society to build those things and put them into place. Shopping centres are something I've done a lot of work on in the past, and what's interesting, in the old days, they were like a logistical place that you went around and bought food and clothes. Now, it's siloed, funnily enough. It's the opposite to what is happening in the technology world, but it's got health, but health is about well-being. It's about people meeting and playing bingo. It's about people meeting and doing yoga. It's about having a doctor, an optician. It's then going to a bar, a cafe. It's all about social interaction around health and actually serious health in some cases. And so I think I see much more of that type of thing emerging and coming through. But clearly what is going to happen, because of what we're doing now in this program, is we're working from our homes, we're broadcasting, we're getting messages across. I think that's going to give us more time to socialize. That's what I think is the positive thing that we're going to get from coronavirus. We need to organize ourselves well. We need to have work time, play time, and stuff like that. We can't merge it. So I think those are really significant things that are going to happen in the future.
That's really interesting that you said that, Neil, because when you talk about AI, I think many people that I spoke to, at least, would say, "Oh, AI will take away, the social element, the social interaction element from the society in the future," and yet you come in and give this new kind of idea of AI. I mean, this is completely thinking in a different way, I would say. And now we kind of understand that. I kind of get it, because now we are in a very tough situation where we can't go out and we lack that.
Yeah.
And we really feel like going out and meeting our
Yeah.
friends and family, just have a drink, have a pint, And
Yeah.
I think it's very viable, because when you don't have that element, you really value that,
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
And Raj, what do you think? I mean, you are like in the front line of AI. So what do you think? What's your input?
Sounds like he's in the front line of coronavirus.
Front line of AI, I would say.
Definitely the medical services are doing a
Yeah.
very good job for sure. And I think I definitely echo Neil's opinion. I mean, definitely the views. I think definitely this is a really good opportunity as well for families also to get together. I think if you look back, like obviously, as everyone have experienced, we're just going through many things in life, right? Traveling, everyone is busy, right? When you wanted to take time with someone else, everyone says, are busy, they can't make time, right? And that is a common trend, right? And people make time if it is important. Even if you look at families, and obviously an example with kids and everything, this is a really great opportunity for families to be together, and also people are really enjoying the time. Especially if you have younger children, that's a different thing. But of course, everyone is in the same house, everyone having a very good bond, and also people are being very good productive in terms of the whatever the activities. This is exactly where we need to think about how productive we can be. It doesn't need to be you don't need to work from 9 to 5, 8 hours a day. As long as you do your task and make sure you deliver work, and also have time for family and also with the friends, right? This is really good opportunity, good economic model to think back, and also what to apply in our lives. And also an opportunity for businesses also to think back, does 9 to 5, 40 hours a week model works? Or maybe it's just going back and think this could be fundamental things, could be at least a lesson to learn, and from example, right? And of course, with the AI technology, and also with decentralized technologies like blockchain, is a really good opportunity to look at this what you call a cooperative model, rather than being very governed model. This is where the transparency can come in, right? An example from everyone can understand the sentiments, right? An example, the one what we created an application. We actually put a proposal for the Innovate UK, one of this research institution, as you might know, in the UK, and calling for that this is a need for having a transparency about what people are facing these problems, right? Not just health problems, financial problems, like mental problems, or maybe it's anything else, right? Imagine if you have something like that. So obviously, this is an opportunity for governments, and also for businesses, and also the non-charity workers as well, to come and contribute, right? And the transparency AI is an enabler to be able to understand all these conversations, and actually find out, what are the key risks there, and what is the sentiments about it. And many people are also suffering now with mental problems as well, being at home, and rather than going to and being a burden to the health system. A counselor can able to help, right? An example, someone like that. It doesn't need to cost the health services. I think there are many ways to optimize the technology, and now definitely it's time to look back the clear example with this situation, right? I'm sure there are many ways to improve.
So yeah, I mean, by the things that we've learned, and by the points that you made, I think, yeah, like what we can take out of it is definitely the changes will come, and it's coming, and it is changing right now, and some jobs will be eliminated, but more jobs will be created, isn't it? Like, there's new things that will come in, and there are some.
When you say jobs, I think that's an interesting question. I think it could be activities. I think being a Pilates teacher, being an art teacher, all of those, which possibly could be funded by the social state in a way, because you've got the Googles and the new companies that are going to emerge who will make vast amounts of money through subscription and all the various other financial models that will be around. Right. So the point you make there, I think, is absolutely right. I'm just saying, rather than jobs, it will be activities, and in a way, that sounds good, doesn't it? It sounds good that I can do something I want to do rather than have a job. Do you know what I mean? Or be a miner. That's so that's the interesting thing.
I love that. I love that. Rather than job, an activity. Yeah, I would totally enjoy. Even the word I would enjoy.
I think that's really very good. Let me add just something on that, right? So if you look at many people, right, everyone is inspired to do something in their life, but most of the people might not have a choice, right? Like we talk about the job replacement thing. It's not the technology which is replacing jobs. Like, if you look back 20 years ago, the ATM machines have actually come, and we thought, okay, many people thought, okay, it will actually replace the job of the teller, right? An example in the bank. What happened after that? The tellers had a more reasonable, more better jobs, which actually they're actually serving customers better. They're doing more meaningful jobs rather than counting cash and actually giving to people. So I think the technology is an enabler to help people to do something what is inspiring in their lives. Whether it could be an artistic work or maybe it could be something else, rather than doing the 40 hours a week, counting, eggs in a conveyor belt, grading A to B and things like that, right? I think there are many ways we need to adapt this, and technology in the front, as sometimes you think that, okay, it's actually replacing jobs. Like many people think about AI is one of the forefront in doing that. But you need to enable that, and also put it in, the policies have to be in place that, like Neil mentioned, it needs to be an activity oriented and also inspiring people so that people have the time to do something in their life. Also, they have time to do something meaningful. And they can be their own business entrepreneurs or whatever it is, right? It doesn't need to work for 60 years for someone else and realizing that it's too late. Or maybe it's always
that actually is a big one, because that enables you, because AI will link you to it. I mean, to be honest with you, in my industry, I've hired people from LinkedIn that I've never worked with before, from India and various other places. I always believed I had to work with guys that I knew and all the rest of it and work with for years to understand it. But technology enables all that to happen. I'm sure the same with you, getting coders and various people to support you in the production. You give them a job for life. They come in and do their job in the way they want to do it. Therefore, giving more time, integrated time, so they'll be doing some work and then play tennis and then come back and do something else, and not having to be in an office at a desk where someone's watching them. That's a healthy society. Yeah.
Yes, that's really the way to go. I think this is a really good economic model also people need to think about, rather than monitoring 9 to 5 or someone, what everyone is doing, right?
Playing Cluedo or something on the computer.
I've seen that happening.
Yeah, with me probably.
So we are going to go for a quick break, and it's the question and answering time. Okay, we'll be back in a minute.
So this is a real-time edge detection with AI, computer vision. So it's actually recognizing the people in a real time, as you could see, multiple people walking in here. So you can able to see the recognition of different people and different personas happening as moving in is real time. So the power of this application, what we developed, is at a very low cost and very high-powered application, where you can actually apply that into different scenarios like smart city and security and surveillance, and perhaps in different verticals to identify the facial recognition example, or maybe a fraud, different scenarios. And the power of this application here is that it's very low cost and high power and without internet connectivity. AI at the edge.
Have you lost Raj?
I'm here.
Okay, welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking about the coronavirus situation, AI, and the future of businesses. And we were talking about the social impact and how the businesses are changing their strategies, their workflow. And we have Neil Whitehead and Raj Muppala. Neil is the founder and CEO of Stuff International Design Limited. And Raj Muppala is the founder and director of AInfinity, an AI platform company. They provide AI solutions for companies. So now is the question and answering time. We've got a couple of questions. One from Mr. Lorenzo. I think I know who you are. And he's asking, how can AI adapt to the country's cultures? So what I think, so Neil, what do you think? Is it? I'm thinking more as like, let's say it's there's an AI platform answering questions in the customer experience segment. Different cultures will require different answers, and maybe depending on the culture, their behaviors are different. The way they talk and the way they communicate is different. So, how will they adapt to these different?
I've been very fortunate in my life. I've worked and done branding, communication, buildings, whatever, in over 40, 50 countries. And I've worked in Middle Eastern countries and China and Russia. Culture is fundamental, the way you communicate with culture. And I think if you are arrogant and you go into a country without understanding certain sensitivities and the way that certain people behave. So, in Saudi Arabia, when you're designing a bank, there's an area for females and then there's an area for males and so on and so forth. But you have to respect that. You can't go against it. So I think, first of all, you have to be respectful with what's going on. The other thing I would say to you is that the generations that are coming through, we go from baby boomers down to, Zeds and all the rest of it. We talk about it a lot. What I do think is that the younger generation coming through the revolution of technology, through the developing AI, are all got a language and a communication that's basically working in the ether. They're in the ether, working in the ether, using virtual reality, using all of these things. And a communication for them is fairly common in the way that they communicate, the way they use Discord, Twitcher, all of those gaming stuff that they use is the way it goes. And what we have to understand is there is a global business going on out here in the ether, not in the physical world. And that will carry on. But locally, and the way that you use technology, the amount of technology that is available and so on and so forth, they all have to be done. But it doesn't mean to say that you can, in some countries, everybody's got phones. In Africa, which is where I come from, they don't. But it doesn't stop them from finding a computer or finding something else. So you just need to adapt it. In fact, Kenya are doing all of the driverless car programming for Arizona. So it blows your mind. You might think it's a third world country with no education, and they're actually programming the world. So I think it's sensitivity, but also I think that this technology is moving at a really fast pace. It really is. Yeah.
So
that would be my answer.
It will be a problem, isn't it?
No, I don't. But I think you have to be sensitive. Yeah.
Right. And we've got another question from Sunny. He says that he's really enjoying the show. Thank you very much, and I'm glad that you like the show. And the question is, what other core human needs will an AI world not be able to fill? That's interesting, isn't it?
It's a good question. Over to you, Raj.
Yeah.
That's not able to fill it.
Well done, Sonny. That's got us.
That's a very interesting point. I think as we are evolving with our AI, if you look at it, the last 5 years, everything is so much evolving, and also all the way from retail, e-commerce, financial, all the way to healthcare. I think everything is it's up in the air. So you can actually take any use case and actually use it. And it's not that, if you can bring that human element to it, like obviously the technology is always an enabler. Think that it's not the technology is actually not replacing you. This is how I see it. Right? Whatever technology you have with AI, an example, a financial planner, right, or maybe something like a care bot, or maybe something like customer assistant bot, right? What is actually it enabling is actually to take all the monotonous or also maybe the huge amount of work, actually enabling people to make the right decisions, right? That is what the technology is doing. So I don't know, but definitely the human element of care is something the technology can never beat the humans, right? And obviously that that
Or
is
will
an
it?
area where
Or will it?
obviously that is where we make us humans, right? And so I think it's very hard to give the empathy and also the passion, these kind of things like intuition and everything. This is what makes us humans, right? And that is something where I believe technology has at least has got a long run to catch. If you were to put machines and humans in place, I think that is my answer for it. Hope that answers at least a bit of it.
All right.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think it is the humanism of it that will always win,
Yes.
So, yep, unfortunately, our time is up for this week's show. And so, what we are going to do is you can comment your questions below, and we'll try our best to answer those questions in the comment section. And thank you very much for watching the show. It's been really tough for us to organize this, and there have been some issues, and we are really apologize for some dropouts and the connection and the quality issues of the show. We'll try to resolve this. But in the future, we'll be running this show every week, Thursday at 5, not at 4. We are going to drag it up to 5. And Raj and Neil will be joining in future shows as well. And for the next show, next Thursday, we are talking about the film industry. Okay. And we are going to bring in a director who has worked in Hollywood, and there will be another director joining in who has worked in India and possibly Sri Lanka. We'll give you more information about that, and Raj will be joining in for a different discussion. And what we'll do is we'll give you an update through our social media channels and LinkedIn channels. You can always search for Tail Media, and you can see on our live banner that we have our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter channels. And Neil and Raj, thank you very much for participating in our show.
My pleasure.
Thank you. It's been a
amazing.
pleasure.
Always
Hope it
amazing
was.
to have you in the show.
It's great. I can now go and have a cup of coffee and a gin and tonic. Excellent.
When this is all over, we'll do it in a proper studio, as we discussed. Right? And the beer's on me. Okay, guys. And,
yeah, it's a good one there. You can say that there, can't you?
Thank you, Angela. I think I'm sure that I think that the amount of effort you put together to this live show, it's really incredible, because obviously doing this virtually also with the live stream, I can imagine. Obviously, we planned it like a live studio environment, but I think that's a great job to you and also the team. And so I think, definitely thank you very much, and I hope it's useful. I think just one last comment I wanted to leave out to people is that obviously it's an opportunity for everyone to think, and also to look at more cooperative world, and also look at different ways of working, and obviously embrace the change, right? And look for opportunities rather than just worrying about the fear.
Right.
And
I would just quickly endorse that. Don't look at it as fear. Look at it as an opportunity. Look at COVID, C-19 as an opportunity. That's what the world's about. We're very resilient as humans. We find solutions. We're innovative. And frankly, this is a joy to do, even though it's been a bit difficult and not quite right and so on and so forth. But we're moving on. We're moving on, and we're dealing with stuff, and we're learning all the time. So, always be positive.
Right. That's exactly right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys, and stay tuned. Subscribe to our channel, and follow our Facebook page, our LinkedIn, our Twitter, and our Insta. And we'll see you next week at 5. We'll talk about the film industry. And stay home, stay safe.
Thank you.
Are we offline?